as an assistant professor at GH Raisoni College. I have selected a conceptual paper that's all about Bloom taxonomy and the Indian education system. So, briefly talking about us, Bloom taxonomy is a classification framework developed to help educators design learning objective assessments and instructional activities, which was initially created in 1956. Then, after it's been revised, the taxonomy helps educators structure lessons, assessment, and activities for the well-being of the classroom for deep learning, progressing from basic recall of information to the higher order thinking skills like evaluation and creation. The two objectives which were framed for this research were the conceptual framework of what exactly is the Bloom taxonomy and to study its exact impact on the Bloom of our Indian education system. So, a qualitative research approach was used for this subjective study. A small review of literature was conducted, wherein the previous literature says that the taxonomy was dealing with the basic six levels that were knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and assessment. Getting over to the discussion, the actual framework. The first volume of the standard taxonomy of the Indian objective was the classification of educational goals, and the framework was from 1949 to 1953 to enhance the educators to teacher communication about the curriculum design and test design. The first volume of taxonomy handbook was about the cognitive, which was published in 1956, and then after it was revised with the second volume in 1964, which talks about how the taxonomy works. So this is the old and the new version. That's all about which started with knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. While today we use most of the verbs which are related to remember. That's the very first step. In the second step, we try to see to it that the course outcomes or the verb understand, which let the student to know about a particular subject, and then it helps. The third level is designed to know the applicability of a particular subject and then to analyze, to evaluate, and last but not the least, the most important, that is what creativity can be achieved through the context. So basically, we can take it into a form that educational revolution by the Bloom taxonomy revolves around practical learning and outcome based learning. Then comes the integration of the practical learning and outcome based education. The outcome based education and the practical learning can be integrated with through steps which is actually been implemented. That's all about the assessment and feedbacks which we get from the student, mostly through the continuous assessments and the feedbacks. We can integrate the learning approach of all the six levels into our education. So these are, if we talk about our Indian context, the technological methodologies, the active learning tactics, then the structured learning objectives in the curriculum design, then the most important, that's the balanced curriculum, then the evaluation and the assessment, talking about the outcome-based education, and then the most important impact on the reforms in education. Definitely, if we want to talk about the impact on reforms in the education, it has changed the system. Priorly, if we talk about 10 years back, our papers and the structured papers like the ESC exams, that the end semester exams which are held today, definitely have two different contexts. Priorly in our exam, like our external exams, we never used to have the course outcomes into existence, which we actually used to match with the levels. But today, if we see it, it has gained a very important aspect, not only for improving the education, but definitely it is also helping in getting a particular college or an institute to be upgraded in terms of NAC and NBA as well. The challenges which are basically faced and which is being seen through the conceptual framework is that the full implementation is actually not much possible, and definitely local environment adaptation is not possible. Let me give you a very simple or a example of it, full implementation is not possible in terms of creativity sometimes, because if you talk about the subject like mathematical subjects, definitely the creative step, that is the sixth level, is not much been 100% able to achieve. But if we talk about the theoretical papers or management papers, definitely the full implementation is possible. So the challenges we can take it in terms of theoretical and practical based papers. Talking about adoption to the local environments, it's not that I would like to compare it in the state or the area which we actually work for the education system, but definitely the type of students matter when we actually want to implement the Bloom taxonomy practically. Because when we try to teach, if we see our education system priorly and today we are more concerned on practical approach, but priorly we were concerned more about the theoretical base. So definitely the local environment has an impact, while and even it's one of the challenges which we actually face. Talking about the suggestions, higher level thinking is like one of the suggestion which we I would like to, or a researcher would like to give, encouraging higher level thinking. So encouraging is the word I would like to attach with higher level thinking. That's because students generally have a creativity or thinking capability as well, but actually encouraging to think out of box is what is required. Then technological integration with Bloom taxonomy, definitely today AI is helping a lot the students as well as the faculty to make more creativity during their lectures. Then differentiated education, yes, it's one of the most important thing which can be done. And then enhance your soft skills using Bloom framework. So these are the few suggestions the researcher would like to give. And then talking about the conclusion part, as of the 24th, the literature suggests that India is a translational phase, and while urban centers and the private institutions are making significant strides in implementing Bloom higher order thinking focus, systematic issues still hinder the widespread adoption nationwide. Nevertheless, the NEP 2020 and ongoing teacher training programs are laying the groundwork for more widespread use of Bloom taxonomy in the coming years. So, with this note, I would like to thank all the members who are present for the conference, and special thanks to all the organizing committee members and Dr. Revti ma'am for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.